The American 1100. This is a fairly challenging lock to open up, but I hope with this video to make it a little bit easier for you. So let's throw it in the vise here, talk about the lock, talk about the tools a little bit. It's a tight keyway, so I am going to use a monkey paw in 020. This one also has the land marking on it so that I know which pin I'm underneath. It's a 5-pin lock. And I've got a little bit of a heavier tension bar here that fits nicely in the top of the keyway and gives me good core control. Use about a medium tension. I do start at the back of the lock and I work my way forward. So here's the first big tip. If you watch my hands or the hands of anyone else picking an 1100, it is really small motions. Little nudge, move on to the next pin. This is not like a master number 3 or 140 where you can do some of those big lifts. Little nudges, and that is because with the serrated and spool, I find that the 1100 is very prone to oversetting. That is where you lift the bottom pin above the shear line, and that is clearly a case for disaster. The other thing that you can feel with this lock is mushy pins. So if you lift a pin and it feels just like it is scraping along the side and it's this endless long lift, you are most likely oversetting that pin. Restart over again. Just abandon it, go back to the beginning. Now when I say that you give each pin a little lift, clearly you're going to have to revisit pins as you're going through this. So cycle through it once, go back, work on your nudges again, and you'll get it open. And here we go. Okay, let's review a situation you'll often run into with an 1100 called false set. And what I want you to watch is my tension wrench that I've got in here. Watch the angle. So this is my false set trainer, so I know it quite well. And watch as I pick this one pin here, you'll see it kick over into false set. That is false set. This is where the skinny section of a spool pin has raised to the shear line and kind of trapped itself. That's what that spool security pin is designed to do. Now you have to go find it, because here's the tricky part. The one that you kicked into false set is not necessarily the spool pin that you need to pick to get out of it. So you got to go pin by pin, nudging them until you get exactly this. See how we're getting this counter rotation? And now if I lean back on it a little bit, lifting that pin, I can now set that spool. And there you go. That is false set and how you get out of false set. Okay, let's build a training lock. And to do that, we've got to take this one apart. So we unlock it and give it a little once over. And what we're actually going to do is look right down in there and you will see a Phillips head screw. So that's why we've got the screwdriver. And if we undo it, this bolt will end up dropping out. So it's actually really a Phillips head bolt. It's not a screw at all. And once it's out, we can actually just dump everything else out on the table. Not too much to worry about. No real springs will go flying. But do keep an eye on everything. So let's just kind of organize our little work area a bit. Put stuff to the side. And we'll just keep all of these components here. And this is what we want to work on. That is the core, and on the back is a C-clip that we're going to remove now. Give it a little bit of force at the top. You can do it even with one of your picks if you're careful. Just make sure you keep an eye on your fingers. And once you push down on it, you should open a little gap in that clip at the bottom. You can just pull it off. Keep track of that. Put it to the side. Now, we want to slide the core out. And you do that with the key in place, but we want to turn the key into a good neutral position. And I usually just do a quarter turn so it is sideways. And then if you look at the top of the lock here, you'll see that it's got a little cutout. That cutout we want towards the top of the lock where the pins are going to fire down in there. Now I won't keep my finger over it, but if you keep your finger over it, you won't get pins and springs flying. But this way you'll actually see and hear pins and springs shooting from the top. As I slowly go. It is drilled for 6, but there's only 5. So you go past an empty hole and then 2, let's call them live. And there you see your pins and springs flying. And just kind of organize those on your mat. And now you want to push that back in. And we still have the bottom ones in there, but what I like to do is put the C-clip back on. Let me just get everything flush and we'll put the C-clip back on. This way I don't accidentally pull these apart and have more things flying in directions that I didn't anticipate. So if you turn the key all the way now, you can actually just tap those bottom pins out. It takes a little bit because it really is a snug, perfect fit, so it does take a little bit of a tap. A little bit of a tap again here. There goes one, and this one's a little stuck, but I think I can just pull it out. And there we go. So that is top pins out, bottom pins out. C-clips, when you put them on, just make sure you have them on perfectly. There is a little nub in the middle of them, and that should go in the bottom of the keyway. That lets them sit in perfectly. If that nub is not in the bottom of the keyway, it's not going to fit back in, but here we go. And quick teachable moment, as I checked out this lock, I actually dropped the bottom pins out of the bottom of it again. So let's grab the tweezers, and we're just going to grab them. They're color coded, which makes it a little bit easier to find them with the other pins. And I'll just load them back in here, and we will have a functioning core again. It's a good thing I didn't turn this all around, because I would have had those top pins fire in those empty spots, but here we go. So even if you make an error, it's really not that big a deal. Turn around, and there we go. We now have a functioning training 3-pin 1100, which makes it certainly a lot easier to learn on. And I recommend that you make a couple of these. 3-pin, and I also like to make them with spools so that I can keep track. Just put everything back together the way it came apart. You know, fire back in the holding plate. I have no idea what this part is called, but we're just going to call it a receiver. The bolt goes in. Grab your Phillips screwdriver. Tighten that up, and you're good to go. And I'll give you one more tip as we're finishing here. When you're just starting, that core is under heavy spring tension. So if you want it to be like dead, what you can do is just leave it unlocked as you're picking. It makes it a lot easier that when you get it successfully open, to get it open. There you go, your training lock. Okay, one more little tip here. So let's say you've taken the whole lock apart, or you're doing different things with it, but you need a plug follower to do most of the work with a lock. Well, guess what? AAA battery is a perfect plug follower for an 1100. Look at that fit. So if you're looking to take one apart, AAA battery.